So Kendra, we're about to talk about what constitutes a cross-cultural perspective in the PIP.
So the cross-cultural perspective is a view other than that of the writers. Obviously, this can be really difficult for students at the beginning because they're very passionate about their topic and they might struggle to see different points of view. But as part of society and culture and as part of the PIP process, we really want to help increase the students' social and cultural literacy and also pushing them past their normal worldview. A couple of go-tos for cross-cultural might be socioeconomic or ethnic groups, also things like generational, gender, or location. They also might be something more specific to the topic. So for example, if they're looking at beliefs and comparing capitalism as a new belief system compared to traditional religion, those are two different perspectives. Also, if they're just looking at differing perspectives in general, if they're looking at the contemporary issue of hashtag activism, if they believe that this is viable as a form of social change, that's one perspective, versus somebody who doesn't think it's doing anything and that really people are just keyboard warriors. Whatever they choose, though, they need to make sure that it's purposeful, explained, and justified, and that it really adds an additional level of understanding to their PIP and to their topic as a whole. Okay, so now thinking about cross-cultural perspectives, should they be implicit or explicit in the PIP?
A cross-cultural perspective in the PIP needs to be made explicit rather than implicit. A student needs to clearly identify and to justify the cross-cultural perspective in the PIP. So it's best practice to have that cross-cultural perspective in the PIP woven all the way throughout the PIP, okay, not isolated to one chapter. So what I'm trying to say is a cross-cultural perspective needs to also add meaning to the student's PIP, not just be tokenistic or tacked on at the end.
So then, can a student examine multiple cross-cultural perspectives?
One clear cross-cultural perspective is advisable in order to explore the cross-cultural perspective in more depth throughout all sections of the PIP. However, sometimes a secondary cross-cultural perspective might evolve naturally, and that's okay. So for example, if a student's investigating gender, for example, you could have ethnicity or generational differences may appear in the research process.
Great.
So next question, how can you encourage students to remain focused on their cross-cultural perspective in their research?
So I always encourage my students to link their cross-cultural to their hypothesis. That way, as their PIP evolves and as they're exploring their hypothesis, inherently they're always going to be referring back to their cross-cultural. Additionally, when they develop their sub-questions that are going to outline what their chapters might be about, linking that to the hypothesis as well, which means additionally, it's linked to the cross-cultural. And then finally, when they're developing their primary methods, you really want to make sure that students are developing questions for their questionnaire, for their content analysis, what they're looking at, or for interviews that are going to link back to their cross-cultural, so that as they analyze them to help deepen their understanding of their hypothesis, they're also analyzing their cross-cultural, and as Amanda said, making sure you are interweaving it throughout your writing.